Okay, morning folks. Welcome to the briefing on Friday the 27th. Oh, where has this month gone? Seems to have whizzed past with some reasonable weather last week or two. I just left the midnight chart on there just to show you that the cold front that actually went through yesterday sort of hasn't really gone too far away by midnight. And there's this little trailing front here going across Northern Europe. And we think that has sort of a bearing on some of the cloud that's been coming down. And if you roll that on another 12 hours, you can see that this front is still out to the west. We're drawing in northeasterly air again, and the isobars are reasonably well spaced apart, so the wind is lightish, 10 knots, 15 knots at flying heights. But high pressure up here is clinging on. It will re-establish itself over the next couple of days, but we've still got instability over the continent, and it's just showing at the moment that in the next 24 hours we might get some shower activity come down across Kent. Hopefully it won't progress any further than that. But with this northeasterly flow, it's drawing in air off the North Sea, so it's got a level of moisture in there, which, as you can see, forms this cloud and needs to burn off during the day. So it's not a weather pattern that starts off sunny and gets going straight away. It takes a while to get rid of the cloud that's been dragged off the North Sea. And in certain places, like yesterday, it never really cleared at Cambridgeshire. So winds today, quick look at the TAFs. Farnborough, they've not updated this for about an hour. So they're talking about 365 knots. Well, they were talking about that yesterday, and then suddenly they announced it was going to be 030, 10 knots after we'd set the grid up. So we're not going to get caught like that again. We know it's going to be northeasterly, 020, 030, 5 to 8 knots on the ground, 10 to 15 knots at flying heights. So we've gone 0.9, but they're saying scattered at 4,000 feet. I can sort of see where they're coming from, and nobody else is going down that road of suggesting it's going to be quite that high. You've got the initial broken at 1,400 feet, which is probably what we've got now above us. Heathrow, they're giving 010, 8 knots, and broken at 3,000 feet. That's more like it, I think, for today. Upper winds across the middle of the country, 030, 040, 10. Some models giving 12 to 15. So a light-ish northeasterly flow. Pretty constant over a reasonable size area. SatPic, just quickly refresh this. We've seen this sort of picture a couple of times this week. Holes in it, but they fill in fairly rapidly as the temperature goes up. We're just sat in this area here where it's filling in again. So it'll take a while for the temperature to go up enough to start burning this back and turning it into cumulus. And that requires sort of 16, 17 degrees. Currently it's sort of sat about 14. But it will eventually burn back and thin out. And temperatures today, I don't quite believe this hold in the middle of the country. BBC were showing a little bit more cloud here until 1 o'clock today, so it might hold the temperature down in the sort of north of us a little bit. But I think 19, 20 today is what the BBC is suggesting. Seems about right. Not quite as warm as yesterday. I think the cloud's going to remain a little bit longer. And the dew points currently are at 11 to 12, be down about 9 for today. So reasonable temperature split. 9 degrees should give us cloud base 3,000 feet plus. Plug in the numbers into the sense. Whoops. Soundings don't look quite as good today as they did yesterday, because you've got this sort of predicted moist layer sat in here. So looking at about 19 degrees. I think with dew points at around about 9, you're going to see cloud base above sea level about 3,500 feet. But quite a lot of cloud, and there's a strong inversion, so definitely chance of spread out. I'll show you that in a second on the actual. Further west, a little bit more spread apart. Looks more like a proper soaring sounding. So that's probably going to have 2 to 3/8 cumulus, about 3,500 feet. I think over us, it's more chance of spread out. North, definitely more chance of spread out, but west looks better today. And the reason for the spread out, this is the 6 o'clock Lark Hill. You can see the temperature goes up, and then there's this really strong inversion here sat there, and that's just going to trap the cloud under it. It'll break slowly during the day, but it certainly will give us some spread out. And in here this morning is where this low cloud is sat, 1,500 feet, 2,000 feet. So top meteo, I'd like to see the update, because I'm sure about an hour it'll refresh itself. It might be a little bit different. They're showing this is 10 o'clock UTC, starting to get cumulus, but I think there's going to be, you can see some spread out up around the Oxford area they're predicting. I think that's going to be more over us as well. And as the day goes on, that begins to break up a little bit. But I still think you're going to see 5 to 6/8 over us for sort of quite a period during the day, until later in the afternoon, when it probably thins itself out a little bit. And we start to see that late afternoon, hopefully, as that inversion starts to break down a little bit. And then soaring day should go on till 5 o'clock, maybe even 6 o'clock locally around us. So a reasonable day, but it'll take a time to get going and burn this upper stuff off. Yesterday, north of us, it never really sort of burnt off properly. In the Oxfordshire area, it was quite spread out, but still soarable. 7/8, 8/8 at times. And it could be like that today, certainly north of us and east of us. Thermal heights, they are talking by sort of 12, 1 o'clock, just over 3,000 feet. And then by early afternoon, still 1,300 meters, maybe out to the west, 1,400 meters, so 3,500 feet. I think at best that seems to be about right, based on the temperatures, suggesting it's soarable till probably 5 o'clock, but on beyond that. But it's going to shut off fairly quickly, as it has done in the last couple of days. And then there's this suggested cross-country direction and distance, a couple of 100k out to the west, northwest seems to be the best area. Right, in terms of airspace, NOTAMs wise, again, a very similar picture to yesterday. We're number 18. Lasham's comp is NOTAMed. Number 9 is Southampton's hours of operation, which are slightly amended from what's published in the AIP. 13 is a small air display, early evening near Romsey. You've got the high intensity radio transmissions and the Salisbury Plain danger area crossing service not being available. We've got down here number 6 is the Dorset Gliding Club having a flying event, and then there's various paragliding events around here. Not a lot has changed. Reading, you can't fly, or we can fly over there, but drones can't fly over the Reading Festival. Number 30 is the ATZ and MATS at Fairford being activated. 29 is paragliding taking place at South Cerney. So obviously something going on there if you're heading in that direction. And 31 is the Junior Nationals at Aston Down, going up that way. And I think we're very unlikely to be tasking anybody up towards Dunstable or that area. They've got their regionals on as well. That's number 38. The main one of note is number 4 and number 5. It's an air display at Sidmouth and then a Red Arrows restricted airspace at Sidmouth, but it's very, very late this afternoon. There we go. So the air display is from 5 o'clock to 18:45, and the Red Arrows are 18:25 to 19:05 restricted airspace. So nobody's likely to be down there. Apart from that, fairly normal. Popham's likely to be busy. Carfest is set up. There's no airspace with it this weekend that we know about, but that's set up just north of Popham, and you'll see that if you fly in that area. Just remember, it's a large gathering of more than 10,000 people, so you've got to remain, according to Sarah rules of the air, 5005, 1,000 feet above it, or be able to glide clear of it. Right, that's about it, folks, on the airspace wise. Operationally, as I say, the comp have got the runway and the south side of the airfield, so they're parked on 09 at the moment, and they've got the south side of the airfield for landings and relights. When they come back in later, it'll be landing in direct, coming in from the west in an easterly direction, landing right up the other end of the airfield. We've got the north side of the airfield, all our circuits to the north, ideally, folks. But if you do get caught on the south, land wherever you have to. We'll operate with the launch point vehicle just opposite the private hangars, aero towing, going easterly. And remember, we're operating the aero tow deal, so if you're a winch pilot, you can aero tow to 1,500 feet for £16 and a maximum of 3 aero tows at that price per day. If you go to 2,000 feet, you'll be charged the full rate. Okay, I can't think of anything else. Get the kit out, and I think it's looking flyable now, so we'll get out fairly shortly and get going. See you out there.